Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dark Souls 2, and also an episode I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about this because we actually picked up the King's Ring last time, or as it's also known, the symbol of the King, and that is now going to allow us to open 3 new areas. 3 new paths is what we have now as a new option here, and this is actually a section of the game that I very much admire. I've said it before, structurally I think Dark Souls 1 is the much better game. I think it's a much more just cleverly designed title looking at the structure. It's just a little bit more engaging, I would say. But I love the way they handled this towards the end here. I don't know if the experience has been the same for everybody, but for me, the way I then started with all of this, with this whole late game section almost, as I'd like to call it, is the following, right? Because we now have the King's Ring, the symbol of the King. We can now open 3 doors. You have encountered 3 doors up until this point. And this is very much, I believe, the second one that you'd run into, right? So there's one in the Forest of the Fallen Giants, there's this one right here, and then there's the Drangleic Castle one. And for me, I, of course, then went to the Forest of the Fallen Giants first, right? That was the one I remembered the most, because that was the one I ran into first. So I went there, but that is actually not where you're supposed to go first. At least, I mean, you can't really do anything there. You can't accomplish anything after going through that door using the King's Ring in the Forest of the Fallen Giants. So then you basically go there, can't achieve anything though, but you keep that in your mind, right? After that, I went to the Drangleic Castle one because that was the second most memorable one to me. And also there, you can't really accomplish everything yet. So I basically then kind of already went to the areas that you're supposed to go later on, but wasn't able to do anything there, and only then came to this one, which is what you'd basically want to start with. And having done it that way was a really cool experience for me, because I then basically did something that is something I really admired about Dark Souls 1, and also partially about Dark Souls 2, but to a lesser extent. Because this whole experience of going to a place, not being able to really figure it out, and only later picking up stuff that is then going to just make all these connections in your head, and that is basically kind of how this whole late game section right here is designed. I don't know if I want to fight these guys because they're usually a big pain. I couldn't tell you if they're actually going to aggro right now though. So let's maybe just draw. Okay, doesn't look like they're going to attack me. I was really confused there for a second because I do believe that they pack a punch and can actually very easily kill you. So basically what those are, by the way, very similar to the ones in the in Things Betwixt. The very first enemy that you run into, these weird cobalt-looking creatures. I don't know what exactly they're supposed to be, but alright. So Aldia's Keep, you already read that, I would imagine. And we have a bonfire here. I should also note that this is where you meet Lucatiel for the last time. She will be next to or inside of that hut. And that is where you can finish her quest. She's then going to give you all her items. But of course, since I did not get her through all the boss fights, that's not really something I can do right now. It's a little unfortunate, I guess, but it would have been a lot of just, I don't know, a lot of repeating the boss fights until she then finally gets through, because it's also one, and probably the most difficult one that you have to get her through, of course, is the Smelter Demon that we haven't done yet. And yeah, that's a shit. That's a just shit fest right there, because that boss fight is quite difficult. But yeah, Azlatiel of Mira. So, who's this now? Who is this? Well, that is basically the person that Lucatiel keeps referring to. It's her brother. Lucatiel's brother, Azlatiel. Somebody that she was, I believe, searching for, right? Is that what she says? I believe so. And it's pretty interesting that you now run into him right here, as a red phantom. I can't fucking go ahead and tell you what this is all about. I don't know what the significance of it is that he's a red phantom, but still find it pretty interesting that you run into him and that he's very much yeah, like evil, right? I mean, maybe evil isn't the right word, but he tries to kill you. Oh, we both S this up right there. Whatever. That's only fair, I guess. So, dude, I want to backstab you. So let's maybe get that out of the way and then finish you off using the two-handed attacks, maybe? Kind of missed the first one, but it should still work. And there he goes, Azlatiel. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a little weird that you have to fight him, right? That he's, like, basically not optional. Killing him is the only thing that you can do. You could possibly also die to him, but I believe he comes back every single time. But, then again, it's not like that's ever happened to me. So, yes. Okay, Aldia's Keep is a pretty interesting area looking at the lore. Design-wise, there's a bunch of problems that I have with it, but I really already love this bit right here. The weird dragon skeleton, right? Dead-ass dragon, and he's then going to basically just charge at you and basically commit suicide that way to some extent. He's not gonna move, he's actually also gonna vanish, which I didn't quite remember, but kind of makes sense, I guess. And yeah, if you don't run by him or don't like step back enough, he's then going to insta-kill you, which is something that happened to me, unfortunately, the first time, because I was just standing here, I was like, oh, looks so good. And then he came charging at me and ended my life there. But yeah, basically running past him is probably the best way of dealing with that situation. So there's a bunch of interesting things here. That dragon skeleton that we just saw is really interesting. Azlatiel is, I guess, pretty interesting. Then all of this is really interesting as well. Freaking like 6 or 7 messages saying pull back. And then you run to the end of this, and then it says, don't you dare, and there's a lever there. Kind of ominous, isn't it? And then on the very opposite side here, which, I don't think I checked out when I first played this, but yeah, on the very opposite side, we have somewhat of a fog wall, I would say, and there's a person that we can talk to, so let's maybe go ahead and do that right here.
Just stay away. No, please, don't come near me. Nothing good will come of it. Just leave me alone, please. Please. Please.
Alright, seemingly he's not gonna say anything else, but, God, I forget his name. It's something with, like, something. Navlan, is that what it is? I couldn't tell you. But that sounds a little bit too similar to Gavlan, doesn't it? I don't quite remember. That is actually a part that I completely missed out on the first time around, or at least didn't really realize that I interacted with him somehow, because pulling that lever on the other side is going to free him. And freeing him is apparently, from what I read, something you don't want to do, because then he's going to keep invading you, at least supposedly, right? That's what it says, but he's only invaded me like once, and that is very much in the area that's after this one, after Aldia's Keep. So I never realized that I freed him. I just pulled the lever, probably never went over to the other side, and then just kept living on and very much enjoying my life and my time here in Dark Souls 2. So that is something that I'm just not a good source for. That dude, that weird sorcerer, I believe what he is, I just couldn't tell you anything about, basically, because I didn't really realize that he was there the first time around, and also didn't realize that pulling that lever actually makes him invade you a bunch of times. He's only invaded me once. I don't think that I've said that, but yeah, only invaded me once as far as I'm concerned. So that was a little weird to me. But basically, from also once again what I read, and I do have to apologize that I'm being so vague about it, but I just don't know. I don't know any better. I don't really know too much about the dude. But from what I read, you can actually get like a little side mission by talking to him, where he then asks you to dispose of other NPCs, and you can then do that. You can also trick him and like obtain items that then prove to him that you killed him, although you actually never went ahead and did that. So that's a pretty interesting side quest right there. I don't know if we're going to explore that. Right now I'm probably not going to focus on it, because Aldia's Keep is quite something already. Probably just going to first of all focus on actually getting through the damn thing, and then maybe later on worrying about that. And also apparently I wasn't able to talk to him. Maybe you need like intelligence for that, because I don't think I have a lot of that. No. Actually only 3 intelligence. You might need a little bit more before he then talks to you and finds you interesting. So, we have a petrified hippo person right here that I'm quite scared of, but let's maybe check our fragrant branch situation. We have 3 of them. And I don't know, I guess it might be worth it. I believe he dropped something as well, so why don't we just go ahead and maybe use a fragrant branch of yore on him, and then see whether we can kill him or not. These are pretty difficult to fight, I find, but maybe standing up here and using my bow is going to be a good idea. I don't know how much he's going to aggro though, and whether he's going to pursue me or not. But seemingly, he's not very interested in that now, is he? He's just looking at me, and that is actually now a very cheesy way of freaking doing this, but also a pretty relaxing way, and we can just sit back for a second and fire some fire arrows. Funnily enough, we're firing fire arrows. So, Hippo Ogre, you're gonna die in just a matter of seconds, and we're gonna retrieve something. I don't really remember what it is, actually, but I do know that he drops. Oh, it's a Dragon Acolyte mask. That's actually a pretty cool mask. And maybe something that I want to wear? I don't know. We'll have to see about it. Because what this is a cool, like, golden... I don't know. Like, what is it even? Like a marble? A pearl? It's really weird. It looks pretty cool, though. But also is much worse than the mask that we were wearing earlier. So let's maybe not do it, but aesthetically, that is something I very much like and enjoy, and probably would recommend to you guys, so check that out. Okay, let's stop the nonsense though. Let's actually carry on with Aldia's Keep and maybe find out a little bit more about it, because of course right now we don't really know what the shit is going on. There was a big basilisk there, weird dragon thing, then there's this dragon statue here, there's some weird sorcerer down like the bottom floor locked up, and now we enter like this very dark and ominous hallway, which I believe you can light up. Should be done by entering a Pharaoh's Lockstone right here. So that is something we want to do, just to get some more I don't know, stuff to actually take a look at, I guess. Especially for you guys, that's probably gonna help out a great deal, since YouTube tends to make videos pretty dark, and like, of course, in turn dark, oh shit, dark areas even darker. So yeah. Now, Aldia's Keep. I don't exactly know how I'm gonna tackle the lore of this area, right? Because there's a lot of items that you can find and read up on stuff with, and just piece things together, but the basic concept of Aldia's Keep and the basic backstory to it is, yeah, probably something I'm just now gonna straight up just talk about. At least all the stuff that I'm familiar with. Probably not gonna be conclusive by any stretch, but what am I even doing right here? I was gonna actually switch out the arrows and get the poison ones for the hippo person right here in front of us. But yeah, so Aldia's Keep is basically a place where a lot of experiments were done. Like, as you can see, there's all these locked up monsters. There's some pretty weird monsters. These hippo creatures are something you will just keep finding in this place. So apparently they were kind of created here, at least I would assume that, or maybe also just experimented on. Maybe somebody took them and then did experience on these guys. Maybe they weren't necessarily created, but certainly yeah, a big part of the experiments right here. So that's pretty interesting. You will see all these cages. There's going to be even more once we enter like the side rooms of this corridor that we are in front of right now. And yeah, then there's especially one room that I'm currently thinking about that is going to show you guys some really interesting stuff. This is probably like one of the key areas when talking about Dark Souls lore, or Dark Souls 2 lore much rather, because we will later find out that a pretty significant person was actually the one doing this, doing the whole experiments, and somebody else that we've previously seen was also involved with all of that. So let's keep exploring. But I don't know, aesthetically, I should say that I very much... Oh, okay, that actually inflicted a lot of damage, which scares me to some extent. But aesthetically, I really like Aldia's Keep. I think this is a really neat idea. This mansion, right? It feels like we are in freaking Resident Evil right now, at least from the atmosphere. It's really tense. It's dark, like very high ceilings and all that kind of stuff. It could have been so much more though, because once again, very similar to most of the areas in the game, I tend to find that they're pretty short. This one is another really short one, because also this corridor that we're doing right now is basically the end zone of the frickin' keep already. There's not much more to it. And that just makes me a little sad, because I really like what they were going for right here. I really like the keep aesthetically. I think it's a cool idea. We have not had a mansion like this before in a Souls game. And I just wish they would have done a little bit more than that. Because as I was saying, it ends really soon. And I don't know. Maybe something along the lines of an Orlando. Like just looking at the size would have been amazing. Just having more corridors like the one that we were just in. And yeah, having more like outside areas. Maybe entering some kind of maze. Like in some yard, right? Just a big, giant maze composed of hedges and all that kind of stuff, and statues, and that would have been really cool. So I guess also where I'm drawing that inspiration from right now would be like straight out of Resident Evil 4, right? Because you have an area like that in that game. So, I don't know. Hopefully everybody can see where I'm coming from here with my criticism, but also still... With that being said, I think it's a really cool area, and also something, wait, let me actually take off all of my stuff right here. I don't need to actually unequip the weapons and stuff like that. Somebody was nice enough to point out to me that those actually are not not infected, but affected, is what I was trying to say there, by the corrosive stuff, which this very much is what we are standing in right now. So there's a bunch of stuff that was seemingly like a sorcery. There was a key there, which you probably don't want to miss. And then we can now head back up and also probably get dressed again. It's always hard to remember what I was wearing, but I think it's mostly Drang Lake equipment, right? Mostly like the gauntlets and all that kind of stuff. Not exactly sure whether I was wearing also the Drang Lake leggings, but probably. Now, what sword was I using? The, where is it even? The Black Silk Katana. I still don't really know what it looks like. Come on, it's gotta be here somewhere. It's gotta be... Where would that even be? Is it this one? No. Jesus. Let's maybe slowly look through them, right? And not just do the random search there. Yeah, this is now Dex... There we go. I totally skipped it. I'm so sorry. That was really stupid, but okay. Right. Then we had a chime in this slot. That's going to be like down a little bit more. Protective chime +5. And then we had a bow right here. Did we even use the best bow that we have? That's the short bow right here. Then we have a lightning short bow and also a Hunter's Black Bow, which I think I've said that this is one of the better bows in the game, but also, as I now have to find out, way too freaking heavy for me. But then again, I also am not wearing my rings just yet. So we certainly had the Royal Soldier's ring. Then we did have the second dragon ring as well. Probably had the Ring of Blades. And then I believe we also had a life ring +2, which I guess you might argue isn't really the most useful. But also, whatever. I guess Ring of Restoration is gonna do. Okay, so yeah. Experiments. Also, yeah, as you can see, looking at this room, very much once again themed in a very similar way. Then we have one of those freaking things right ahead of us. You might remember them from what am I trying to say here? The Sinner's Rise, the very bottom, where we would then fight the Lost Sinner not too long after, and these were also very much in there. So really just a nice assortment of strange creatures. Like, everything that's a little fucked up is basically here in this whole area. So I was actually gonna wait a little bit for that thing to die before we then move on and possibly aggro more than we want. But okay, is he gonna completely? No, not even. Let's just fire another like 3 or 4 at him, poison him yet again, and then that should take care of him. I'm really surprised that he doesn't break free. I didn't quite remember it that way, but I guess I shouldn't complain, right? It's probably a good thing that he doesn't necessarily break free there. So another one of those acolytes. There's actually also another one coming right at us right here. So backstab is preferred method very much yet again. And then we're just gonna finish him off using some standard attacks. Good. At least good enough. I don't know. I possibly could have done a little bit better there, but maybe I also shouldn't be that judgmental. So that guy's dead, assumingly, right? Then that thing, I forget what's inside actually. I don't quite remember. Oh, we can't get to it. That is interesting. I didn't remember it that way, but I guess that's fine. Cool, whatever. Another door here. We cannot open it though. So that is actually something that I don't know how to feel about. There's a really creative way of opening that door, which we might succeed with, but also might die while pursuing that. Another bug inside a cage. Probably also just gonna fire at him because he's very much corrosive, as you can see. And corrosive things we don't appreciate. At least not at youtube.com/moshedpotatoez, the very best gaming channel on the internet. Or at least very close to the very best, right? Something like that. So, oh, I've never seen this before. That is weird, because that very much looks like the bone wheel skeleton wheels, right? It certainly does look like it. I've never really noticed that, but that's fairly interesting then. Okay, what's this? Large soul. Thank you, maybe? It's pretty cool, I guess, but also could have gotten something better out of that, I would probably say. So there's another hippo person. If you approach that door from the big corridor, shit's just gonna break through and wreck your ass, and I don't want that. So we are once again gonna do it the cheap way. We're just gonna poison the fucker. Oh, and as you can see, he actually now still breaks through, which is quite surprising. Then again, I actually am not gonna poison him. I did say there's a way to open that door, and that way also totally involves the fucker right here. So this is gonna be all kinds of messed up right now. This is probably gonna be pretty difficult. He's also gonna allow us to get that soul though, so I do appreciate that, my friend. And I'm also going the wrong direction. So let's maybe enter the building first before he grabs us and one hit kills us. But yeah, you might have already figured out what I'm trying to do here. Since I'm not killing him, since I'm trying to keep him alive and apparently get him to a spot the way you open that door very much is done by getting him. Where is it even? There it is. Now we're gonna have a hard time with all of this though, because as soon as he grabs us, I'm gonna flip and die. Come on over now. I know you can do it. I believe in you. I just don't quite believe in myself, unfortunately. I think this is probably a really dangerous freaking thing to do, because if he just grabs you... Shh. Okay, get back up, please. Don't do the... God. I hate fucking fighting these guys. They're so miserable. And that's not me, like, freaking trying to offend them. I don't like them. Okay, so now, you know what you have to do. You may not know, you may not. You may... Fuck, he's so straight up going to kill me. He did also destroy that stuff, though. So now, this is me running for my life. Oh, okay. So, I'm very happy that we now got through this, but it's not over yet. It's not over yet. This is way too intense for me. Where's he at? Hello, mister? Are you still... I can hear you. Alright. As long as he... Oh. I was actually just about to say, as long as he's not actively pursuing us, I mean, we're gonna have a good time here, but nope. He's like, fuck that. I'm not doing it that way. I'm actually just gonna now straight up freaking eat your face. Come on, stand in front of the door and allow me to poison you, and then just wait out, which is admittedly a pretty cheap tactic, but works very well as well. So I just like to do it this way. These guys just terrify the shit out of me, and if they combo you, you're basically dead. And if they do their grab attack, you're basically dead. The best way of dealing with these guys, I find, is actually baiting their, yeah, like sit attack, basically. That's probably the best way of describing that, because if you are behind them, the way they are going to attack is by basically just trying to sit down on you. And that is probably the most reliable way of just basically predicting their movement. By constantly just baiting that attack and attacking them in between. But I don't know. This is also very much a good strategy for all. Oh god, for all of this, I find I actually was really scared by you now. But thanks for the raw stone, basilisk friend, and now we can properly carry on with all of this. Malformed skull, huh? Interesting. Now, this can't be a mimic, right? No, totally isn't. It might still be a trap, though. So, I want to be careful. I want to just pick up the item because it's not a mimic. Is there any, like, secret thing here? I don't quite remember. No, not even. Okay, we can carry on then. We're about to be done with Aldia's Keep. As I was saying, it's not a really long area. It's just one that you can do some extra side stuff in, which I also appreciate, I guess. But I don't know. I've said it before, they could have done more with this, and it's basically, and also very much unfortunately, theme throughout the entirety of Dark Souls 2. They could have done a little bit more with the areas. But now, this is the room that I was talking about, right? I did say we will find a room that is going to actually show us a little bit more, because here you can see giants. These are giants, just a freaking pile of them. They were taking them apart. They were doing stuff with the giants in Aldia's Keep, and that is certainly something that, yeah, really just plays a big role in the overall lore of the game. So just keep that in the back of your head. Experiments also very much involve the giants here. So should I spoil this? Probably should. This is another trap right here. I don't really know how you trigger it. Is it by actually interacting with the door? Maybe knocking on the door is already gonna work? Or maybe it's not even this one right here. Maybe it's the one afterwards. Yeah. But they totally are gonna try to play the same trick on you twice, because there was earlier a door that just a frickin' hippo breaks through, and that is very similar to the one that he now just broke through. God damn. And he's also probably gonna just wreck. Oh no, he can just fit through the doorway then. But yeah, very evil area, and kind of funny how they do that 2 times in a row. Although, I don't know, I guess it's kind of also not necessarily all that fair, because there's no way of just anticipating that. The first time around, you're just gonna straight up get hit by that, and depending on your health, you're then also gonna die, which is probably just a little too cheap for my taste. But pretty funny the second time around, because then of course you know what's gonna happen, and also kind of funny that I still was scared by that, because I didn't quite expect it to trigger with where I was standing at the time. So that was cool, I guess. Let's just keep firing arrows at him. It's not like it's really all that necessary to pay attention to our just amount of arrows right now. Just much rather speed up the process, get the shit killed out of this person. Is he poisoned? Looks like it. Okay, that's good then. He's just gonna die now, and we are gonna be free to move on. Basically the last enemy in Aldia's Keep right now that we're fighting. There's another section that I totally skipped, a section in which you will find a yeah, just a few mirrors, I guess. Mirrors very similar to the Mirror Knight, or it's not even called Mirror Knight. It was previously called the Mirror Knight, the enemy that we fought at the end of Drangleic Castle. But the Looking Glass Knight, very similar to the mirror shield that he has. There's more of them in the castle, and they will also basically have phantoms come out of them. But I don't think there's too many important things in that whole section. It's a pretty small one as well, so probably okay with the fact that I skipped this. So let's be honest about all of this right now. Beautiful view, I love it aesthetically, it's awesome. And there's something here, and as you can see by the fog gate, it's a boss. And the thing that I wanted to be honest about wasn't the just aesthetics right here. It is actually the fact that I'm scared out of my mind when it comes to this boss fight, because I've only fought him once before. I actually now have basically I've gotten farther than I am in my New Game Plus, that I was basically for some time doing simultaneously, or at least alongside this playthrough. But now this is something that I haven't done in my New Game Plus again, so it's a boss that I've only fought once, and that I did not have a hard time against whatsoever when I first did him. I need to actually do something real quick though, because if not, we're probably gonna have a hard time here. Did I die already? I'm so surprised that I didn't. But I'm probably still gonna die. Yeah, fuck, that was me just doing a really terrible job. I'm really upset with myself that I thought that I could still pull that off. Because what I was trying to do there, which probably you guys figured out already while I was doing it, is use some repair powder. Because my katana was very broken. And yep, that's how I then died. But alright, I guess it's not too bad. We're just gonna run back once, and if I then die again, we're then going to start just cutting a little bit. But it also should be fairly easy to run back for us right now. There is, I believe, actually another, just second bonfire in Aldia's Keep. I don't think I've ever been there though, and I don't quite remember where it is. I think I looked it up once, but yeah, I just don't quite remember where that is, unfortunately. Probably would help right now, especially right now, having died like that. But yeah, also those are the mirrors that I was talking about, but still just not gonna get involved with that. Okay, so not too big of a deal though. That basilisk is back. I didn't know that, but alright. Do we want to use the lightning spears again? Do I even need to? He's probably not even gonna know. He doesn't even fucking fit through the doorway, so why even bother with that? Did he aggro? He didn't even aggro the fucker. Okay. But that's okay. That's totally fine in my book. So let's just close that. Consequently open this. And then head on through. Is there anything we need to worry about? Can we just dash straight through? I mean, there's totally a chance of us dying right here. I would be pissed if that actually ended up happening, because we do have quite a few souls now in that boss room. But I think we're basically good. Yeah, no need for repair powder anymore. So yeah, I think we're just gonna now try to run through, which... maybe isn't the best way of dealing with all of this, but... it's just how I'm gonna now try to approach this. As I was saying, the boss actually is something that I've only fought once. You know what, though? The second bonfire might be hidden somewhere around here. I've never found it, so there's probably a lot of you right now thinking, how the fuck? Nick, really? That's an obvious bonfire right there, but I just don't. I straight up don't remember. Now, of course, this is going to be the most harrowing thing I've ever had to do in a Souls game. Probably not, but it's quite up there. And now, of course, let's enter this boss fight again and just approach it like somebody that is not completely stupid and out of their minds, like I have done a pretty good job of, up until the point. But then, of course, now we're back here and keeping up with the trend being that I apparently suck at this boss fight. Okay. So, I'm just so intimidated, because I've fought him once, and that was just a one shot, right? I just killed him. I straight up went ahead, killed him, moved on with my life. And now, I'm not very confident with the fight, but maybe that's also the problem. Maybe I just need to be a little bit more confident with all of this, because I don't believe that he's considered to be a strong and very difficult boss. I don't really believe that to be the case, but it's just really stupid. That's a big downside to only fighting bosses once, that you are never really all that confident with it when you then do a second run through, and especially not if you then also record that second run through. So we want to heal as soon as possible, but since he's very busy breathing fire down on us, at least seemingly, I'm not exactly sure about all of this just yet. Is that going to be... that's not a fire attack. Probably a good time to heal then, or also a good time to get horribly scorched. But okay, that was still quite decent, I would say. Nothing too bad. We are also inflicting a lot of damage. I would love to bait him into actually using his stomping attack, because if I predict that a little bit better, I'm probably going to be able to just attack him quite a bit there. Maybe want to run to the side, because that looks like he's going to breathe down fire. And he certainly did. So land, you dragon. Oh yes, totally, I didn't mention. It's a dragon. It's totally also, I believe, the very first dragon that we are fighting in the game. We haven't really seen any yet, right? So that is very interesting. There aren't any dragons in Drang Lake. At least not, there haven't been any up until this point. And now that we are here, it's really interesting to find out that there are dragons, and dragons very much behind the area that had a lot of experiments done in it, right? And this is also in a cage, also very similar to I guess the previous area. A lot of cages, and now we find a dragon in a cage. There were experiments going on, all just things we want to be thinking out a little bit more as we keep going on here. But I don't know, aesthetically just awesome. Love this area, and the even better thing about all of this is it's not even the best. There's gonna be more to this, but just look at all of this. It's awesome. I really like it. I didn't really realize that there was an item right here, but it's a dragon scale, and that is cool. And we are now going to use some elevators right here and go and move on to the very next area, also kind of the end of this whole path, the dragon area. And yeah, everybody that has watched Dark Souls 2 trailers before knows what's coming up right now, probably, or has at least seen what is going to just open up for us in a matter of seconds here. Probably aesthetically the absolute best Dark Souls 2 has to offer, and certainly something that I'm excited to do. That's only going to happen next time though, because of course that's another area, another part of the game that we are going to invest quite a bit of time into. So open up please, thank you very much. And let's now go to where we want to go, and where we also are going to then end the episode. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. Aldia's Keep is something we will talk a little bit more about once we find out a little bit more, because you actually haven't really found out too much about the area yet. Possibly you could have by reading up on some of the items that we picked up, but there's a bigger aspect to all of this that is only going to be revealed a little bit later. But also Emerald Herald is right here, so maybe I should listen. I should let you listen to her. There we go. Thank you, English.
Manifestation that led you here. The ancient dragon has watched over the world for eons past. Take this.
Aged Feather.
Do not resist. The dragon welcomes you.
Alright. Is there anything else? She's gonna say no. So the Aged Feather is an item that she gives you right here. It's also an item that she drops if you kill her, I believe. And what it does is basically provide you with a unlimited amount of homeward bones. That was probably a bad way of putting it, but what it is a homeward bone that is never going to run out. So let me show it off real quick. There we go. Right here we have the Aged Feather. Return to last bonfire rested at. And there's no number assigned to it, so that means you can just keep using it, keep using it, keep using it. Anyway, light the bonfire. Probably ended right here then. May as well rest at it for a second. We do have a lot of souls, and I guess I could level up using those, but maybe that's only gonna be something for next episode. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. There's a bunch of comments you can leave me down below for this video. So how do you feel about Aldia's Keep? Do you think they could have done more with it? Very much like I was saying, I feel like that is a awesome theme. Awesome just overall idea and concept for a Souls game, but once again just a little bit short. But then again also the lore to all of Aldia, maybe you can just talk a little bit about that in the comments and inform me, let me in on what you think is going on there. Experiments, what are the experiments for? I do know most of that stuff, but maybe it's just gonna nice to hear some second thoughts on that. So anyway, guys, thank you once again. I think I've said it now like freaking 5 times or whatever, but I really do appreciate your support on this series. It's a lot of fun for me to always go back to Drang Lake and explore it and have you guys watch it and also enjoy it. So yeah, big thanks for the support so far. It's not over yet. There's still quite a few episodes to come, so yeah, I don't know. Just gonna end it now. So finally, I guess. Goodbye, guys, and have a good one.